I, 32M, found a suspicious email in my late soon-to-be father-in-law's 60M email account. Too long did not read. My fiancé's dad died suddenly a few weeks ago, and in helping to sort out his affairs I stumbled across a strongly affectionate email chain between him and a woman other than his wife. I don't know what to do with this information. My fiancée, Florence, 31F, and I are due to marry later this year, and she was excited to have her dad, Dennis, walk her down the aisle. Unfortunately, he suddenly died on Easter weekend, and the family have been heartbroken. Her mum, Mary, 60F, in particular, they were a very close couple, and Florence has always looked up to their relationship as a beacon of how to be strong and present for each other in marriage. She will often use them as an example of how she wants us to be in the future. My parents are divorced and my family is generally not as close as hers. In the weeks after his death, we have been dealing with the paperwork that comes with a bereavement. Dennis managed all the finances, had several different mortgages, and was an accountant with his own business employing 2 other people, so there is a lot to sort out. Neither Florence nor her sister, Susan, nor Mary knew his phone's passcode or the password to his email account to which everything is registered. In general, I am the IT guy, so I have volunteered to try and sort out the internet provider and various domain names that need to continue to be paid for. Mary's email address is under one of these domains, and it is critical that she retains access to it. By far the simplest route to accessing all of these accounts is through Dennis's email account. I have tried a couple of times to do a manual password reset. I succeeded once, but the password step failed due to flaky internet, and the second attempt was rejected outright, so I can plausibly say that we just can't get access, but this may lead to logistical problems. It would be very useful to have access to that email account. Yesterday morning, before anyone else had woken up, I had the bright idea of trying his birthday on his iPad, which was sitting near his desk. To my surprise, it opened. He must have had different passcodes on his iPad versus his phone, since I am sure someone would have tried that initially. When it opened, I was excited to see that his mail application had some notifications, which meant that it presumably would give us access to that account. So I opened the app to check. The first email that came up was not what I was expecting, and if I had any idea I was going to find something like that, I would have not opened the app at all. It wasn't exactly incriminating, but it strongly suggested that there was a woman in his life that his family did not know about. Her email address included her full name, which I did not recognize. The email was a conversation of quick back and forth messages, just idle chat about daily life, with a few things that stood out to me. Firstly, he addressed the woman as babe. He was not known for being affectionate like that with just anyone. Secondly, there were many strings of XXXXXXX from both parties in the sign-off. Again, Dennis was not an affectionate man with his friends. Thirdly, the email was in its own separate subfolder of the inbox, named Best, with no other emails in it. Perhaps he auto-routed them there and deleted them once read. When I realized what I was reading, I closed the email and went into the main inbox. My mind was reeling a bit, but I also was thinking practically that I was glad to have access to the inbox so that I could reset some passwords to get permanent access outside of the iPad. I began that process, but then Mary came downstairs and I quickly put the iPad down, so it is currently still the only way to read the emails. By itself, the email doesn't prove anything, but I feel like it is circumstantial and suspicious enough to warrant some concern. Dennis was somewhat of a hermit, it seemed to me. He had very few friends of his own and spent most of his day working from the home that he lived in with Mary. Within a few days of his death, all of the friends and acquaintances that Mary knew about had been notified. But in this email chain I saw that there were many recent unread messages from the woman who presumably had not been told of his death. I have not read those recent emails, only the ones prior to his death. Dennis's funeral is next week, and Florence is intending to speak at the eulogy alongside Susan. She is already completely grief-stricken, very sad, and doing her best to support Mary, who is in an even worse state. They all truly and strongly loved Dennis and thought the world of him. I am very conflicted about what to do with this information, and how to proceed. Florence has always placed a heavy emphasis on honesty. She often says that she can't trust what her mum Mary says, because Mary will often lie about certain aspects of a situation to try and protect Florence, or Florence's perception of other people. It has occurred to me that it is even possible that Mary knows about this other woman and is in denial or looking the other way for the good of her daughters. As I see it, there are a few paths ahead of me, none of which feel like the right thing. 1. Be honest, lawful good. I tell Florence what I found. I would have to do this carefully and compassionately, and ideally with her consent. I was thinking of saying, I managed to get access to your dad's emails, and I stumbled on something that looked potentially hurtful to you and your family. I can delete it now and we'll never talk about it again, or I can show it to you, or I can investigate it further myself. This feels a little like that stupid tweet, are you in the right headspace to receive information that could hurt you? But I don't know how else I could get her consent. I also think that there isn't really much good that will be done by knowing about whatever has gone on here. Dennis is dead, he can't take accountability or change his ways or explain himself. The family will never get closure. 2. Bury it, chaotic good. I delete the emails and block the sender. In doing so I implicate myself in the lie, for the protection of Florence's memory of her father as a dedicated and loyal family man. This would create a permanent secret that I would have to keep from her for her whole life. I also run the risk of the other woman making herself known at some point anyway, and pointing to an email chain that has been deleted from Dennis's account after his death. 1. Sub-decision, do I tell the other woman that Dennis is dead? A part of me feels sympathy for her if she was really romantically invested and perhaps didn't know that he was married. 3. Ignore it, neutral good. I do nothing. The evidence isn't strong enough for me to assert definitively that something serious was going on. And if they end up finding out, then I can deny I knew anything, but there's a chance they don't find out anyway. 1. Sub-decision, do I publicize that I have gained access to the emails? With the suspicious email being in its own folder, perhaps nobody will find it. I can try to be the person in control of the account and steer other people away from looking in it, but I can't be forceful about it or guarantee they won't stumble across what I saw. 2. If I don't publicize that I gained access to the emails, then I am taking a more active role in covering up by lying. I also would then be obstructing, by the omission of my knowledge, the family's ability to get access to critical accounts. 3. This seems like a bit of a non-decision, leaving it up to fate whether or not the family get hurt. But I do feel like it should never really have been my decision to make in the first place. I just happened to figure out how to get into the emails when nobody else was around, and it was the first thing on the page. Anyone else trying it would have found the same thing. 4. Dig deeper, chaotic neutral. I investigate further and base my decision on that. I don't want to do this. I already feel like I have inadvertently crossed a privacy boundary and peeked inside Pandora's box, but on the other hand, with a more informed view, I can have more conviction in going forward. This is definitely in the murkier gray area, and I don't think Florence would approve, and nor do I really. Thanks for your attention, and I hope that there is some consensus on what is right for Florence and her family. Friend, whatever you decide to do, I hope your soon-to-be wife knows how much you love her. The amount of thought and care you've obviously put into this is so telling of the depth of your feelings for her. I think you should tell her you found something strange, and let her decide if she wants to know. Good luck, 4-leaf clover. Oh man, this is a delicate situation and I'm not sure what the best way to approach it would be. I, personally, would do more digging and approach the mom and see if she has anything to say, if you think you can do that without her freaking out and talking to your fiancé before you've had a chance to. Above all, I mostly wanted to comment to tell you that you seem like a really wonderful partner, and your bride-to-be is very lucky to have someone who is looking out for her. Whichever you choose, do have comfort in knowing that you really are doing this for her. I'm gonna take a different route than anyone else and ask you if you're sure he wasn't being romance scammed. Here's what I'd do. Email this lady back and ask her to meet up with you in person. You don't even necessarily have to say it's you. Just say something amongst the lines of, let's see each other at this place and time. Once there, let her know what's going on, but before you finish make it clear that there is nothing more you can do to help her. If she asks about the funeral, tell her shush is not welcome. Why? It really speaks for itself. You're lucky that you found the emails and nobody else did. I would only tell Florence once her grieving process is over, with the condition her mom will never know. Good luck. Tell her now. She doesn't like when her mom lies to her to protect her, so you shouldn't either. Considering how important honesty seems to your fiancé, I think you should tell her. Tell her you found something and gently ask if she wants to know. Update us. Ask if something would hurt her to know and not affect her not to know, would she want the truth? You forgot, chaotic evil, seduce the woman on the email chain and start your own suspicious email chain pretending to be your soon-to-be father-in-law. Please send us the nudes.